Dylan, I can appreciate that your camera's off, but your mic's on.
Yes.
Okay, we have just concluded contract negotiations with Jessica Sizer, so we'll be welcoming her as our permanent full-time town administrator. The details of the contract will be released and publicized once we've signed them, which will be hopefully Monday. In the meantime, gentlemen, we're looking for a motion in regards to allowing Ms. Sizer to continue as a counselor in Palmer while holding this position.
I make a motion that we approve Jessica Sizer can hold an elected position in the town of Palmer. At the same time, she is also acting as a town administrator for the town of Barre.
I'd like to second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to allow Jessica Sizer to continue on as an elected position in the town of Palmer while acting as our administrator. Any further discussion on that? Hearing now, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Urban, yes.
Dylan Clark, yes.
Greg O'Sullivan, yes. We'd also need that, I think we said we'd put that in writing, so Jessica could write that up for us. We could also sign that when we come in and sign the contract. We want to sign that document as well. If that's ready sooner, that's great. And we have the warrant uptown to sign, and we have the band to sign, correct?
Yes.
Anything else anybody wants to bring up before we exit? Any reports, comments, quick things before we leave?
Not this evening, no.
I don't want to drag this any further, but was there a summary of the DPW meeting that I was not able to attend, but Matt and Greg, you did. Did you have any takeaways?
We approved some roads for Chapter 90 paving in town. Discussed that we really would like the sidewalks to get going, which they are still trying to get to. And the priority to get working with the drainage here on Wellensville Road, because, you know, they can't repave this till the drainage is done. We discussed the tree issue on, oh my gosh, I keep trying to blank.
Britain,
thank you. Britain West, I think it was. Brick Road. That's been discussed by DPW with the owner. I believe it was actually a bush of trees that were on town property anyways, but that was covered. And we talked about trying to make an effort to have these meetings continue monthly and not necessarily just keep dismissing them and postponing them. So the board has agreed to work towards that and try to make sure those meetings do occur, because they have not been. Brief discussion about maybe getting a hammer for the excavator, which it seems to be frowned upon because they beat up the equipment too much. Anything else?
I just briefly brought up the discussion about all the boards and commissions, that bylaw about every board and commission getting videoed. The DPW commission, traditionally, when we did have someone that could bring a remote camera down there, always had them videoed. But what was it, about a year and a half ago, our high school graduate type level person moved on to college, and we no longer have a camera operator. But I do think that's something that we as a board need to reach out to, like Jessica. We probably should look to have an actual job description written up and post that and come up with an appropriate pay to figure out what that'll cost. And then we need to work with Mr. Degon to find out what type of support he may need and how much time he can give to make sure that even if somebody else is videoing it, someone's still going to translate it into a different software, etc., and then have it put on TV and put on. So I'm not sure that workload. So we need to kind of get an idea of how many meetings a month from all the various boards and committees, and then find out what it would take for either Mr. Degon to do it, or what it would take for us to provide the support he needs. So, that would just be next steps, I think, so we can figure out budgeting and actual capacity.
With that, the last thing I would like to bring up is that it's my intent that we get these meetings back to the boardroom. Matt and I actually had to wind up in the boardroom for that last meeting. And I would suggest that we should conduct Monday's meeting in the boardroom. I'd like to discuss that with you two here. Publicly, before we go forward with it, Matt and I certainly deal with that difficulty. It's still not open to the public, but meetings in person are much easier for us. It's easier to get documents back and forth. It's easier for people to follow because they can just simply watch it on the, on television without having to do the whole Zoom format. I don't even know how this comes over on YouTube.
Well, people can watch it the same way this way as they would if it was in the Board of Selectmen's room. BCTV puts it on YouTube and then they put it on TV later. And so it would be the same thing here. It goes on YouTube live and then he puts it on the TV later, whether you're in the room or doing it via Zoom. So when it comes to the general public access, it wouldn't really change. When it was just you and me in the room, I wasn't so bothered because we were far ends of that same long table. You put 4 people in the room and you only have one table, you're not going to be 6 feet apart.
Everyone doesn't need to be at the table, though. We could certainly have.
Maybe, unless you actually like using a table to write on.
And there's no reason we can't do that. Bring in, I think there is a desk in the back, but we can have a 2 small side tables so everyone has a work platform in there. It's pretty easy to set up. And I just think it's going to make this flow much better for us. And trying to get back towards normalcy.
I don't completely disagree, but I definitely would like to review the possibility of getting fresh air circulation better. Not just opening windows, but maybe getting fans set up so one window's blowing fresh air in and one's blowing fresh air out. I know it might be a hot day, but I'd rather have that fresh air flow and the cleaning the air out than worrying about it. It's more exposure over time that becomes an issue when you're in a room like that, not necessarily casual exposure. So from my perspective, we don't have any exhaust in that building. It's not a forced air room or building. So 4 people sitting in a room for what we have traditionally been doing sometimes is 3 to 4 hours, is not what I would recommend doing unless you can work on some type of air exchange or air cleaning system.
It could be as simple as a fan in the window, the door open, and the fan on the other side of the building open, so we're moving air through the building, through the boardroom and out. But to that end, we did put on for the COVID purchases to get 3 air purifiers, Jessica.
Yes.
And those things were approved. I believe a portion that was supposed to be federal money. So if you haven't, could you look into that and see what we need to do to purchase them and see if we can move on with that as well.
Yes, it is on my to-do list.
But I think reasonably, if we do this meeting on Zoom once again, then I'd like to have the first meeting in September back in the boardroom and come up with a fan for ventilation is something that we need to. But I really would rather get back to normal.
I just think that since it's already been posted that it's on Zoom, and then all of our Zoom information is on the upcoming agenda saying that this meeting is remote, I would just say that we should keep Monday's meeting since we are within that 48 hours now for posting the agenda, just to conform with the open meeting laws that we host Monday meeting on Zoom once again. But we have enough time now because our September meeting, we have an extra week in August, and then our September meeting is on a Tuesday. We have plenty of time now to prepare to have that meeting in the boardroom on Tuesday, September 8th.
I like that idea. and we can definitely get some of these things resolved.
We'll touch on that again Monday and talk about it a little bit more. If there's nothing else, I'd look for the appropriate motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
I have a motion second to adjourn. Any further comment? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote by roll call, please.
Dylan Clark, yes.
And Greg O'Sullivan, yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. We'll see you all Monday.